Oh boy, where are we going with these talks? Yesterday, I introduced the Myers-Briggs type indicator, and it's based on Jungian psychology. It was something that became out in the open right after World War II, and it's used extensively around the world in industry and in many church leadership teams. I found it to be a very accurate indicator of my own life. I'm not going to tell you what my type is. You might be able to guess it. That'll be fun, won't it? But I did mention that it was developed by Catherine Cook Briggs and her daughter Isabel Briggs Myers during the interwar period, but it came to get published about 1945, something like that, and it's developed since. And basically, through a self-questionnaire, which there's various forms of it, but they all, for me anyway, come out remarkably the same. There are 16 different categories, and they're based on this. Extroversion and introversion, so they're extrovert or introvert. And then the second category is if you're an intuitive type person or a sensing type person. That is, a little bit of sensing is not perhaps what we think it is, but let's not go into that right now. And then feeling person and thinking person, whether you're moved most by feelings or thinking rationality. And then the last set is perceiving and judging. Again, perception or judging. Now those do need unpacking. I'm not going to unpack them right now, but perhaps it might give you a little bit more insight if I very briefly go into the work of David Kersley and his temperaments. He worked on these 16 temperaments and he gave them names. Now, I'm not sure if I agree with these, but it might colour it a little bit to give you a little bit of understanding of what we're talking about when we talk about MBTI and type. What's your personality type? He came up with 16, here they are, based on the 4 letters, the MBTI. Inspector, protector, counselor, mastermind, crafter, composer, healer. It's not talking about spiritual healing here, by the way. Architect, promoter, performer, champion, inventor, supervisor, provider, teacher, and field marshal. Right, now, all I'm saying is that if you put a field marshal in the same room as a crafter, it's a recipe for conflict. If you put a counselor in the same room as an inspector, you are asking for conflict. If you're putting a provider in the same room as a promoter, you're asking for conflict, unless there's an awareness of the difference of the personality types. Now, people have said, oh, well, you can't bring that into the church because it's not spiritual. Our whole life, spirit, soul, our bodies, we are one, we're united people in our own integrity in ourself, and God works with us as humans, and he works through our natural personalities, and he expresses himself through our natural personalities. Then on top of that, he does indeed place his spiritual giftings in us, but it doesn't change our natural personality. Our natural personality is who God created our souls to be and how we express and how we view the world. And so these differences of personalities, differences of way we view things, are very important to have. It's not like one is good and one is bad. It's like they all can be sanctified by God, and we can all come into a place where we can recognize each other's spiritual giftings and natural giftings and personalities as well. And that's the beauty of MBTI, especially on team building. And remember, as we said a session ago, if we want to build community, we have to learn how to build teams. We have to know how to have teamwork in our midst. So community building starts with teams, And the best way of starting with a team is to get to know one another and to understand the quirks and the weirdnesses that we all carry. And part of that, the MBTI, the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, can be a help and a guide in helping us come to a greater understanding of each other.